going to tell you what I think about the latest college football playoff rankings and give you my rankings. Hang tight a few seconds, and we'll jump right in. What is up, college sports fans and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome to another edition of Coos' Corner, your go-to channel for college sports with a heavy dose of those West Virginia Mountaineers. Before I get into my top 25 rankings reaction and also giving you my own top 25, I want to ask that if you haven't yet, please press that subscribe button. Give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Share it with your friends who like college sports. Now let's get on with the show. The latest CFP top 25 rankings came out on Tuesday of this week. I don't have as much to say about it this week as I did last week. But the one thing I will say, as you can see, the rankings are up on the screen for you now as I talk about it. But I'm still really aggravated with the fact that Oregon is number 3 and still in the top 4. I just don't understand. I understand they beat Ohio State. I get it. I really do. But they've not beaten anybody else really that's that good. They lost to a 3-7 Stanford team. I mean, you just can't. It's like they're not even taking that into account. And I don't get it. Oregon is not better, in my opinion, than Cincinnati right now. Or Michigan, for that matter. Or Michigan State, for that matter. I mean, how can you justify? Like I said, I understand the Ohio State win's a big win. I get it. But then you turn around a couple weeks later and lose to a terrible team. I don't have as much a problem with any of the other teams. I'm still unhappy with the inconsistency. They have Oregon over Ohio State because of the head-to-head matchup. But then a few spots down, they have Michigan over Michigan State, even though Michigan State beat Michigan on the field. Either the on-field head-to-head matters or it doesn't. I mean, make up your mind. There is no way in my mind, if you've watched Oregon and Ohio State play all but that one weekend, there is no way anybody can tell me that Oregon is a better football team than Ohio State. I don't see it. I really don't. Ohio State has been blowing people out. They have arguably the best offense in the country right now. I just don't understand how they can rank Oregon ahead of Ohio State, yet still put Michigan State below Michigan. I don't understand it. It makes absolutely zero sense to me, and I don't think their explanation is really an explanation, to be honest. They still don't have Cincinnati in the top 4, and I have no problem with that. As you'll see in a minute, I do have them in mind, but I have no issue with them not being in the top 4. I really don't. Notre Dame's the only quality win they have. It's a good win, but they've not really beaten any other quality teams. Now, one positive. They do have Houston in this week, which I complained about last week. They at least have Houston in the top 25 now. So if Houston continues to win and Cincinnati continues to win and they meet in the American Conference Championship game and Cincinnati can win that game, it will give them another top 25 win. There is still a path for Cincinnati to get in, possibly. I think it's probably a slim chance, but there is a chance. It's going to take some chaos in front of them and maybe even behind them, and some upsets to occur, and then also they're going to have to win out, and Houston's going to have to win out, and then Cincinnati's going to have to beat Houston in the championship game. There's going to have to be a lot of 2-loss Power 5 teams, and they're going to have to finish undefeated with the American Conference Championship with a win over Houston. To me, that's the only scenario where they're in. Now, let me show you my rankings and show you where they differ. I'll start out with showing you my numbers 8 through 25. And then I'm going to take you to the whiteboard and give you my top 7. And I ask that after you have a chance to, after you see my rankings and the video's over, let me know in the comments what you think about these rankings. And if you've liked my video so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. As you can see, my rankings are on the left. The committee's rankings are on the right, 8 through 25. Really just minor differences from this point down. I've got Houston higher than they do. I've got UTSA higher than they do. I don't have Mississippi State in. I've got Louisiana instead. I've got Oklahoma slightly higher, but keep in mind I had them at number 2 in last week's poll. So that's actually a big drop. I dropped them 9 spots in my rankings. They only dropped 5 in the committee's rankings. I've got Ole Miss a little higher. I think Ole Miss is a good team. Their only 2 losses are Auburn and Alabama. Auburn's a pretty good team, and Alabama we know is a great team right now. I'm not quite as high on Baylor as they are because of that TCU loss. That was a bad loss for Baylor. But other than that, not a whole lot of differences. I'm not quite as high on Wisconsin as they are because they have lost 3 games, but Wisconsin does look good right now. They're playing as good as anybody in the country, arguably, right now, so look out for them. But they are a 3-loss team, so I'm not quite as high on them as the committee is. Now let's take a look at 1 through 7 in my poll. All right, here I am, back at my whiteboard to give you my top 7 for Week 12. Number 7. And unlike ESPN, I'm going to work backwards. Number 7, Michigan. Only losses to Michigan State. They really get a chance to prove themselves in a couple weeks when they play Ohio State. But right now, they're at number 7 in my rankings. Number 6, Michigan State. Now, obviously, I have them over Michigan for 2 reasons. One, they beat Michigan, and the head-to-head does matter. But it's not the end-all, be-all. Michigan State's loss was to Purdue, who's a pretty good team. So I'm still giving Michigan State a slight edge here. But to be honest with you, I kind of look at these as 6A and 6B. They're kind of a toss-up to me right now. The next 2 weeks is going to determine where these teams really should be. But right now, I'm giving Michigan State the slight edge. Number 5, Oregon. As you all know, I am not high on Oregon like the committee is. That loss to Stanford just really irks me. Stanford's a 3-7 team. They're a terrible team. A playoff team does not lose those kinds of games, in my opinion. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not saying Oregon can't end up in my top 4 by the end of the year, but as of right now, I've got them at 5. Number 4, Cincinnati. I actually dropped them 1 spot from where I had them last week because the teams around them have better wins. But I still have them in my top 4 because, like I said, I have them over Oregon because of that Oregon loss to Stanford, and Cincinnati's undefeated right now with that road win at Notre Dame. I think that does mean something. Number 3, Alabama. Got the Crimson Tide up a spot this week. That 59-3 blowout of New Mexico State. Yes, I know it was New Mexico State, but they did blow them out. They did what they needed to do. Beat them handily, so I moved them up a spot. Number 2, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I did not even have Ohio State in my top 4 last week, but they had a nice win over the weekend, a nice blowout win. I think they deserve to be here. They're playing really good football right now. Their offense is clicking. They have arguably the best offense in the country. So I've got Ohio State at 2. And obviously number 1, no surprise, the Georgia Bulldogs. We all know they're blowing everybody out. Their defense is pretty much unstoppable at this point. Their offense is starting to come together as well. Stetson Bennett's starting to play decent football. They got a great running game. Right now, I don't see a whole lot of teams beating Georgia. Maybe one of these teams up here, but I don't know, man. They're going to be a tough out this year. There you have it. There's my top 7. Let me know what you think. What would you have different? Don't forget, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't. If you like my video, give me the thumbs up. Share this with all your college football loving friends. I appreciate you tuning in to the show. Until next time.